we're live again. Welcome to the Come Cook With Me show. My name is Laura Hall, and we are live from Sweet Home, Alabama. So, thank you, Brad. I am so sorry that we started off the show and Facebook decided it was time to reload the app on my phone, so I couldn't go live. So I apologize, and thank you everyone for coming back on. So today's show, and let me just say this, I just have to, just without getting started with cooking, we're gonna go ahead and get our pots ready. So go ahead and hit saute if you are cooking with me. We're gonna get our pots ready and hit saute. We are gonna be making the most wonderful, savory minestrone soup. You're gonna absolutely love it. So I'm gonna hit saute on both of my pots. And they're going to get started getting heated up. While they're heating up, I just want to say thank you everyone for all of your wonderful comments. So the last 2 weeks when we moved here to Alabama, we had to stop the show after our shrimp pasta with zoodles, and so many of you, so many comments, and so many people who follow and say, when are we going to be cooking again? I so appreciate them, I can't even tell you. So I'm hoping that the audio is good. We've never done this before in this kitchen, so you'll have to give me tons of feedback of how we can improve this particular show here in this kitchen. I have a feeling that I'm gonna have to definitely get a label, something that there's a good audio, someone recommended a good audio that we can get. So just tell me everything that you see in the kitchen and how the show goes today. Love the feedback. We're gonna make it really powerful. So today, we are going to be cooking the minestrone, and the minestrone is already done in the slow cooker, so that's in front of me, that's the pot in front of me. So when we're done with the show, I'll actually show you what it looks like. It's phenomenal. It's just made this kitchen set smell so wonderful. And it's so great to come into a new home and have your house smell with the things that you're used to cooking. In fact, Brad was like, when are you going to start cooking, Mama? We need to have the house smelling like it normally does. And we're also doing the Mealthy Pot. We're going to try this recipe out in the Mealthy Pot and the Instapot. So we're going to get a chance to try it all and see which one wins. So we've got these on saute. They're heating up, and what I'm going to start off doing with this particular recipe, I'm going to go ahead and put my extra virgin olive oil in. So I love to use the robust extra virgin olive oil. But what's most important is I use organic and non-GMO. So if you followed me before, you know one of the things that I do as a health coach, I really love cooking with non-GMO, that's genetically modified foods. We don't want to put any of those in our bodies. And we always want to try to cook with, whenever possible, with organic food. The less pesticides, the less toxins that come into our bodies, so that's really what we're looking for. All right, so I'm just going to coat the bottom. And for those of you who are new to the show, you'll probably say, well, where's this recipe? Well, in the post up above, you will see the recipe is already right there. And it details really specifically what you can use, what you want to use. You'll see while I cook, I don't necessarily follow the recipe because I'm really not a measurer. I really like to see what it looks like in what it is that I'm cooking in. These are nice and hot. So what we're going to go ahead and do is we're going to add the onion in each pot. And we're going to add the celery in each pot. And those of you who are enjoying the kitchen for the first time, I have to tell you, I'm learning how to get this all set up so that it's perfect for everybody. It was kind of a challenge because I had this great, beautiful sink right here, and then it gave me less space here, so I got a lot of space over there, and this island is just huge. It's really big, so it was quite a challenge to figure out how do I want to actually do the show. So I'll appreciate everyone's comments and feedback. Oh, that's just looking beautiful already. I got that nice and hot. So I'm going to go ahead, because I'd love to have the garlic already infused into the saute feature. What I want to show you is I went ahead if you're new, you know I love to do roasted garlic. So earlier today, we roasted a whole bunch of garlic. There's about 15 cloves in this, and I chopped it up, and it's roasted garlic. So it's gonna just give such a beautiful, smoky, robust flavor to our soup. So every instrument that we're using, these are both pressure cookers and the slow cooker, every implement we're using has the exact same amount of ingredients, same thing. All right, so we're gonna let those get to a little bit where they're almost they're looking great. Just a little bit where they're translucent. That's what you're really aiming for. Where the onions get a little translucent and the garlic or the celery gets a little opaque. That's what you're looking for. And that's about done. So I'm going to go ahead and turn off, cancel. And we'll let those continue to cook a little bit. So what I'd like to do at this moment in time is just to infuse a little bit of flavor with the spices that we're going to use. So I'll go through the spices that I'm going to be putting in. But before I put the spices in, I'm going to go ahead and put the can of diced tomatoes in. And my particular favorite one is, I love the Smear Blend because they're organic. They're diced tomatoes. These are actually fire roasted. They're organic, non-GMO, but really, what I love about this particular can, let me empty that out, and I do this for all of the canned goods that I particularly buy, and I look for this particular label. It says non-PBA, and I could come around and show it to you. I'm gonna do that real close. This is non-PBA. So that's bisphenol A, and we don't want to have bisphenol A in our bodies. And a lot of times, manufacturers of products will put this lining. It's a plastic lining, bisphenol A, and it's an endocrine disruptor. It really wreaks havoc in our bodies. So you want to find, if you're going to do a canned good, find goods, people who are producing products that have no lining of the bisphenol A. Now, the reason why they use that is just because they want a longer shelf life. And you know what? We're not concerned about shelf life of products. No, we're not. Not as it occurs to bisphenol A, because research has shown so many things about what it's doing to our bodies. So you really don't want to do that. So I'm going to go ahead and stir those in. Oh gosh. I always say this. I wish you had smell-o-vision. And I know my daughter is actually over there. But if she were not in cybersecurity, she'd be finding a way to do smell-o-vision because that's how brilliant she is. She's a computer genius. So I'm going to go ahead and put the spices in. Let's go ahead and walk through what I use. I'm going to go ahead and put in two, probably three, because these are a little small, Turkish bay leaves. There we go. We're going to add in black pepper. Oh, sorry, I should really show it. Although it's really hard for you to see, and I know people really like to see what it is that I'm using. Again, most of my spices, well, in fact, everyone that's sitting out here, they're organic, they're non-GMO, and yeah, they're my favorite. So I typically will use a McCormick because at Publix, that's where I shop most of the time. Although this new Publix, if you saw the Come Shop With Me, and those of you, I should take a step backward, every Wednesday, we come live at the shopping center, wherever it is that I'm shopping, and we come live and share with you the ingredients that you need for the show for Friday. So some of you like to cook along or watch the show and then make whatever it is that we're making. And so this week was our first time at the Publix here in Malbus, and we realized not all of the spices were there that we'd like to cook with. So we're gonna have to go on a search. But I did point that out. So the other thing we're going to put in is a Japanese 7-spice. This was what was not at the Publix. And I'm sure if I go and ask the manager, they're really good about that they'll go ahead and order that. And then we're going to put in some organic crushed red pepper. Not too spicy, Sydney's here, so we want to really respect that wish of hers. And then we have oregano. We're going to put in some oregano. I love how oregano really changes the whole flavor of this minestrone. And then we have some Italian seasoning. And then my favorite spice of all is ground cumin. And then we're gonna do our Dano spices. Now let me talk a little bit about these particular spices. So we have, these are the larger containers that you can actually get online. But what I love about this is that Dan Oliver, he's a teammate of mine. He's on my team, and he's created these incredible spices. He lives in Kentucky, and what you see on this label, it says Kentucky Proud. And he has created this incredible no GMO, low sodium, no MSG. These 8 spices are just really phenomenal. Because he's on my team and because these spices are really phenomenal, I love to use them. And so I also am helping him by every single time you make a comment right now on the video feed saying hello, who you are, where you're from in our community, you get entered to win the spices at the end of the show. And so we actually do a random generator. We had so many comments 2 weeks ago on the shrimp pasta video that was just to enter those names in was pretty phenomenal. So anyway, I have the winner, and I'll talk about that in a little bit. We're gonna add a little bit of, the red is a little bit more spicy, and the green is more savory. And I just love adding both of them. I do all of my vegetables with Dano spices. They're just phenomenal. Okay, now our spices are in. The only thing I'm going to add is a couple of twists of my pink Himalayan salt. And we're ready to add the rest of the ingredients to the soup. You're just going to oh, so yummy. Such a good soup. And I don't know about you, but it's not gotten cooler here, although we were walking around downtown today in Mobile, and it was just definitely so much cooler. I just couldn't even believe it. It was so phenomenally not hot like it was when we moved in. So I don't know if it's unusual or if this is normal, so we'll learn as we go. But you know, as the months start to get cool where you're living, soups are so great. I love soups as a full meal, and this becomes a really hearty meal because it's just so full of so many great, when we have the beans and we have the lentils. It's a perfect vegan meal, so it's just great. All right, so let's talk about the next ingredients. Let's go ahead and start to add them. We're gonna use bone broth is my favorite. And if you're going to completely vegan, which this recipe is a beautiful recipe for that, you will just use a vegetable broth. But today we're gonna go ahead and do the bone broth because I just love minestrone soup, and I love to have it as a post-cleanse soup. It's just so wonderful. And then I always use my bone broth. And bone broth is so good for your gut health. So this is one of my favorite brands. It's got the lowest sodium that I have found on the market. There may be others, I just don't know. So, so we're using a low sodium organic bone broth. So this is a chicken bone broth. We're gonna probably use 2. I'm gonna get started with 1 in each of these containers. But I know when I did the slow cooker, we ended up using 2 full ones, just because the beans and the lentils absorb so much of what's going on. So we'll get those going in here. Perfect. Okay. So we'll go ahead and add our vegetables next. And I love the fact that you can do minestrone soup with whatever the vegetables are of the season. And so your minestrone in the fall and summer could be so different than your spring vegetables. So minestrone can work so beautifully that way. So what we've done is I've got one full zucchini and one squash in here that I've diced up. We'll go ahead and add that in. And I found this incredible farmer's market right down the street from where I live now. It's just fun. And I found all of these great vegetables there. And so we have some fresh green beans that we've chopped up. We've diced those up, taken the ends off. Add those in. I love green beans, especially when they're coming right from the farm. Farm to table is just something that I absolutely love. And then we have some fresh carrots, organic carrots. Go ahead and add those in. I don't know about you, but in my soups I love to have a little extra carrot, so just have a few extra. And we have some beautiful okra that was at the farmer's market, so we'll go ahead and add that in. I diced up a half a jalapeno, and we're going to go ahead and put those jalapeno in. Now that's an optional thing, but for my season, I like to have just a little bit of a kick, and it's not going to be too much, it'll be perfect. All right, and so we're also going to add in our kale, and what I've done is I've taken the whole kale leaf and pulled it apart from the long stalk and just made it into little bite-sized pieces. Okay, so we'll just add a whole bunch in here. It's time for a little bit more liquid. We have a little red wine. Again, this is an optional feature. I like to add about a cup of red wine to this recipe. It just gives it a little bit more flavor. Not quite a full cup. And I just use something that, you know, we didn't finish from a meal before, and, you know, it just works out perfectly that way, then you don't have any waste. Okay, and now we need to add our lentils. And that's what I love about this soup or this recipe, is that not only do I use a bean, and I'll talk about the beans in just a minute, but I love using a lentil in all of the soups. Putting lentils in, it's just one of those quintessential things that make it hearty, give you additional protein, give you additional fiber, just wonderful. And so what I have here is I have a trio. This is one of my favorite, Earthy Choice is the name brand. And I will walk around and show it to you because it's a trio of red, green, and black lentils. And that's what the label looks like. It's really wonderful. Non-GMO, organic, again, all those things that you look for in a great product. So I'm going to add 3/4 of a cup to each one. So we have the trio. And then I have some red lentils. I love red lentils. So, and the one that I particularly love is, I'll bring it up to you, it's Bob's Red Mill red lentils. So Bob's Red Mill, he has come a long way with this company. He actually was featured on NPR recently. I thought it was so ironic as we were moving here. I was listening to NPR on the car ride, and he was on NPR being interviewed and talked about how he came about his stone mill and like the whole life story of how his company came to being, and how he's just giving back so much to really to the world and the environment, and then created this company and has shared it, made it an employee shared company. And I just love the story about how and what they have done as a family. Just so wonderful. So I'm going to add about, that's pour too much in there. Okay, about an extra, almost 3/4 of a cup. Great story. If you haven't seen it and you want to go to NPR and listen to that story, it's just beautiful, beautiful, wonderful story. All right, so we're ready to get started with the actual cooking, because we're going to put these on, we're going to set it at 5 minutes. But I want to show you something. that once the 5 minutes are up, we're going to add in, I did some pre-cooking of some beautiful beans, and they are the cranberry heritage beans. I'll come closer so you can see the actual label. This is the first time I've actually used these, and I will tell you how they came out was just superb. Let me just show you the label. So again, it's a Bob's cranberry heritage beans. What I love about these is that when I looked at how they were cooking up in the slow cooker, they're just so hearty and so meaty. And I actually thought when I did them in the Instant Pot, when I cooked them this morning, I said, oh darn, I think they cooked too fast. But they really haven't. They've really held up really great. So I'm going to show you what they look like. And I have in the recipe up above, I cooked them earlier and just used the bean setting, and I showed you how I did it, and I'll actually add pictures to them as well. But I'm not going to add these in the first 5 minutes. What I'm going to do is let these pressure cookers cook for 5 minutes on the high setting manual, and then once it's done, we're going to let it quick release, and then we're going to add 2 more minutes on to cook, and we're going to add in our macaroni product and our beans, because we don't want the beans to be overcooked. We want them to be a part of that beautiful soup. When you're taking that bite and you get that bite of bean and vegetable, it's all the same. So that's one of the things that we're going to do and how we're going to prepare it. So let me show you what they look like and how they cooked up. I have them in the refrigerator, so they're a little tight, but you can see them. See how beautiful those are? And there'll be some left over because I used that whole bag. And because I used the whole bag, it just really is going to come in handy for my meal prepping for the next week, which I love. It's so great. So I'm looking at these pots before I close the lid and get them started. I definitely want to add a little bit more bone broth, so we're going to go ahead and do that. And I have one finishing touch that we're going to add, and that is some balsamic vinegar. Again, that's an optional thing, but I think that you will love how the balsamic vinegar changes just gives it more of a earthy feel, just a really savory, great taste to the soup. It's one of the things that Sydney said when she woke up this morning. She says, oh Mom, because I had started cooking the slow cooker early before we took off and did some exploring, and she's like, it smells so good, I can't wait to taste it, because she's like, you know, you can't get this kind of minestrone soup anywhere because it would cost too much to have all the ingredients for a restaurant to actually put in. But it really, actually, it probably would add like a few extra dollars, but I think people would love to have that, to have these great flavors. All right, so this is ready to go, ready to hit start. It's beautiful, just looks so great. So when I hit start, I'm gonna go ahead and close these lids up. And again, we're testing out, this is our second time cooking in the Mealthy pot. It's a Mealthy Multipot. I'm so excited because when we did this the last time with the first cooking show using it, it was an interesting experience. So I'm excited to have another pressure cooker. And I had one of the gals who's following me, Jackie. She says, "Hey, Laura, somebody was on Good Morning America, or one of the news programs in the morning, and it was Martha Stewart, and she was promoting her new cookbook, and she was using a pressure cooker. She says, is that what this is all about? Is this all pressure cookers?" And so, yes, there's multiple pressure cookers out there, just like there's multiple crock pots or slow cookers out there. So that's kind of the fun part of it, is that you just find one that you love, and each one has their own special features. So I've been blessed to be able to have the ability to cook with both of them now, and it's been an interesting experiment, and so it's just kind of fun. All right, so the last thing we're going to add in is we're going to add in a little bit of our balsamic vinegar. And I'll show you this label because this one is not an easy one to find, but I love it for so many reasons. But this is my favorite aged balsamic vinegar. And I'll get that close. It's Denidress. I'm not really sure how to pronounce it, but it's one of my favorite ones. I think you'll love it. Yeah, I love it on salads. I top it off with so many beautiful things, so many wonderful things. All right, so we're ready to close these lids up. Make sure when you close your lid, you have the steam locked in. And you're gonna lock those guys in. And what I'll do is I'll take pictures as we're in progress because we're gonna end up, after 5 minutes, we'll do a quick release. We'll add 2 more minutes on, we'll add our beans, and we're gonna add in our macaroni. So my favorite macaronis to choose from are either a gluten-free or a ditalini. And I love this noodle because it's short. It's a short noodle. And this is the one I'm gonna actually use today. But this gluten-free, the Rossini gluten-free, is a wonderful noodle. So I might mix a little bit so we have a little bit of both. But you don't wanna have your noodles in now because then they will be too mealy. They'll kind of fall apart. So just once you hit the 5 minutes, open up the lid, add in the beans and your macaroni, then you're gonna be in a perfect spot. And 1 to 2 minutes is all you're gonna need for that, and then do a quick release, you'll be able to serve. And what I like to serve this with is a Parmesan cheese, and even if you have some lemon or lime zest to put it just a little bit on top, would just be beautiful. But just the Parmesan is great. And we use the dairy-free Parmesan, so I'll show that in the picture as well. But you can use a fresh Parmesan and either one. If you're trying to be dairy-free, you'll like the heart-healthy one. Okay, so that's the show. Thanks for joining. And let's go ahead and talk about who's the lucky winner of those spices. So this particular lady who won the spices, Dano's spices, are gonna be coming your way. I think she found me a couple weeks ago. And she's just such a cute woman. I am so excited for you. So Lois Delmas, you won the spices. Congratulations. I know if you're watching right now, you're gonna be so thrilled. So, and I'll put a few extra goodies in there for you as well. All right, so now it's time to pick the winner of the seasonal shake. So, every show, this is the first time you're actually watching, we do a free drawing, and I either do it of one of the nutritional products that we have, a new product that has been released from my company, or I'll do 2 times a month where we'll do either a Mealthy Pot or we'll do an Instapot as a drawing. And so it's the end of the month, and what we're doing is we're drawing for the end of the month, and since I still haven't unpacked where all of those people were from the month of August, probably have to do 2 drawings. So I just have in here all the people who shared the show. So if you hit that little share button, you'll be entered to win. And next week we're going to be doing a pot. This is the week that we're supposed to do it, but I don't have all of I said at the end of the month we're going to put everyone who shared for the whole month, you get entered to win. So all of the names here, plus the names, when I find those names from the last several shows, they'll all be entered to win and we'll draw. And so at the end of the month, it'll be the Mealthy Pot, and then the beginning of the month, it'll be the Instapot. So it'll be just a whole bunch of fun. All right, so this is for the seasonal shake, this winner in here. So I'm gonna go ahead and just try to stir them up. I couldn't even find my hat. I was looking for the hat that I always draw from, and I couldn't even find it. So I'm just gonna go in. Okay, I think I got one. Here we go. There we go. Good luck. Let's see who the winner is. Oh my gosh. Okay, Harold Stalter. Harold, that was the first time I think that you've ever shared, so I'll have to send you a message as well. Congratulations, Harold. All right, there we go. And that's it, everyone. That's the show. Thank you so much for joining me. Anything that you can share with me so that this show can be the best ever. Welcome to the new kitchen. We'll continue to make it a beautiful show, and I thank you so much. For those of you who are driving, it's a holiday weekend. Be safe, drive safely, and good wishes and health and happiness for you, and an incredible amount of love. Have a great weekend, everyone.